What's good, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this one, I'm going to get into the weekly setup for Bitcoin and as well as get into a couple of Forex trades that are pretty good for today. Now, the editor is currently still out for a personal reason. So yeah, going to just record this in one take and post it up. But anyways, let's just dive right into it. Bitcoin wise, we have a bearish weekly close. Doesn't mean that we are necessarily going to be looking for a short this week, considering that it's starting the week out pretty strong. And secondly, we managed to come into this PD array right here and we bounce from it. So that's also a really good sign. And the fact that you form a new CISD over here at this level means that, chances are when you return back into this zone, you're going to be looking for a long instead. So in this case, we're going to actually write off the weekly kind of bias. But so far, I think we are looking pretty bullish. And the reason why I say that we're bullish is because of how the week has been starting so far. If you take a look at the hourly chart, you have, very clearly you're in bullish order flow at the moment. And so this means two things, right? In terms of the setup for today. One is that anytime you come back into the zone right here is an opportunity for you to look for some sort of 5-minute CISD towards the upside. Why? Because over here, this is a new bullish order block after, formed right after a very aggressive move towards the upside. Secondly, we've already filled in the fair value gap once, but doesn't mean that we cannot fill it twice. But the most important thing about Bitcoin for today is that you really do want to make sure that you get that 5-minute CISD in between the hours of 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. New York. The reason being is that today is Monday and it's also a non-news Monday. Now, for those of you that might not be familiar with why you don't want to be trading Mondays, it's the same reason why we tend to avoid, for example, the Asia session for, a lot of pairs, right? Because it's kind of like your opening range of the day. It's basically setting up for the rest of the day. Like, for example, like this could be Asia and then London and then New York, right? So Monday tends to be the Asia range of, the week where we kind of want to wait for Monday to play out. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, we can kind of take advantage of to see if it's going to be manipulation or if it's going to be kind of like a breakout so that we can trade a continuation. Basically, it's going to be in your favor to trade on, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, especially also because Tuesdays and beyond tend to be the news days for the week. Now, case in point, Friday and Tuesday tend to be, well, for this week, it's the news days of this week. And so if you can focus your trading, majority of your trading on these couple of days, I think you're going to have much more success in trading, right? It's not about trading every single day. It's about avoiding the days that are not as high probability and then focusing on the days that, will make it easy for you to succeed. This is something that people don't really discuss, but very important for long-term success as a trader. But anyways, just going back to, this Monday setup, like so far doesn't mean that we're not going to be trading. It's just, earlier on I mentioned you really want to see that confirmation. That's because Monday, non-news setup, and also the fact that it's Monday means that you're operating in a slightly lower probability condition, which also means that you want to make sure that you get exact confirmations before you jump in, right? On Tuesdays and Fridays, you can afford to be a bit more aggressive, but considering today's Monday and it is a lower probability condition, you want to make sure that you really wait for undeniable confirmations before you jump in. Now, one of those confirmations could potentially come after we get a candle close in the 5-minute chart above 79,900. This kind of makes it an order block. So once that happens, you're already more than welcome to try a trade over here. The only caveat, like basically entering here and then placing a stop below and then targeting for 2R. Now, the only caveat I would place for this is that, again, go half risk, meaning, and the reason why you go half risk is, again, like this is just a way of adapting to the slightly lower probability conditions that we have today. So what is the thing that makes me want to go half risk outside of market conditions? Well, you have a bunch of relative equal lows over there, which means there is a chance where you sweep these out before you go towards the upside. Hence why one of the first setups that I discussed was for a pump, or rather for a dump towards the fair value gap, filling in that fair value gap for a second time before prices go up. That would be the ideal setup for today. But yeah, so far, like, it's not to say that you cannot try a trade on Bitcoin. It's just, it's just Mondays. That's all. Now, one of the things that I do want to talk about, though, one of the setups that we can definitely try is NASDAQ. If you take a look at NASDAQ, over here, you have some really clear order blocks. And in terms of the daily chart, you are bullish as well, as far as the daily bias goes. Again, it's a non-news Monday, so I would avoid trading today altogether, if possible. In fact, I will avoid trading altogether later because I'm going to have an appointment later. I'm going to go play some basketball. But, like, as far as Forex setups go, I think NASDAQ is one of the cleaner ones in the sense that, okay, you have a clear daily bias, and then in terms of the hourly, you have clear order blocks. So all you need to do is to wait for, and also you have a strong low, which I forgot to mention. So right now, I think the most ideal setup is once you get a candle close above 27,942, both in terms of the hourly chart, actually, if you manage to get a close of 940, right, 27,940, you're going to look for price to literally just retrace back into this order block right here and take a trade towards 2R. Now, I can't really give you targets on NASDAQ because, well, quite literally at all-time highs here. So this is going to just be a momentum trade towards the upside, which so far is on what I'm seeing in terms of the overall market so far. This seems to be the highest quality, kind of Forex setup. Euro potentially, and I say potentially with a very, big asterisk there. So Euro, you have a bearish daily bias, and because of the 1 hourly chart, you've managed to close, well, get a couple of candle closes. So right now you're already in bearish order flow. So from this point onwards, I would probably look for a retracement back into this order block right here, where you're going to place a stop above. You're going to, enter it on the order block, and then you're going to just target. I don't want to say this low over here because it is quite a distance away, and expecting such a big movement during a non-news Monday can be a bit unrealistic. But still, this seems to be the best kind of like TP, besides just taking some partial profits at 2R and letting the rest run. That's probably what I'm going to be doing. Now I will just set an alert, see if I can jump into a trade. But so far for today, I don't think I'm going to be hopping on to Twitter like I usually am. But otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, like it and subscribe if you want to see more. I'm going to come back tomorrow, and yeah, I should probably end it here. About to head to Hoops. Ciao, ciao, guys.